Okay, so here's my final attempt at juggling. So I've gotten better since part two. I think that that's just because of the increased practice that I've had. Um, for my final skill development, I would say probably like an 8. I feel like I'm pretty proficient in juggling, but I don't think I'm an expert yet. So that's why I would give myself an 8. Um, for the theoretical framework, I'm gonna use the FITS model. So it's easy because there's 3 stages in the FITS model: the cognitive stage, the associative stage, and then the autonomous stage. And I think that kind of aligns to my 3 parts that I've submitted for my videos. I think that in part one, I was definitely in the cognitive stage because I was still trying to figure it out, and I was pretty bad at it, and I was just kind of trying to get the movements down. But then from my first video to my second video, I saw like really rapid improvement, and I got a lot better really fast, and that's one of the like signs of being in the cognitive stage. And then also, when I recorded my first video, I was really inconsistent, and that's also another sign of the cognitive stage. And I feel like by my second video, I was more in the associative stage where I was more consistent. My errors weren't as varied. And then that enabled me to begin to focus more on like the small errors and more like just refining my like mistakes I was making. And then by part three, this part, I wouldn't say I'm in the autonomous stage yet, but I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle between associative and autonomous. I may be like right on the edge of autonomous, because I wouldn't call myself an expert at juggling, but I would say that I've improved from associative from part two. So yeah, somewhere maybe in the middle between those 2 stages. And then some constraints that I faced. The first constraint is just it's more of an individual constraint. So just the motivation for me to practice and stay on that routine of just practicing every day is pretty hard for me, especially in the second half of the project. Because in the first half, I felt like I was pretty motivated and I was seeing a lot of improvement really fast, so it was easy to keep practicing. But then, like, as school kind of got harder and as my assignments started to ramp up towards the end of the semester, I found myself not practicing as much, and just like wanting to focus on other things instead of practicing juggling. And then another constraint would just be environmental constraint, would just be like, because like the environment I'm in my bedroom right now, and the ceiling is kind of like low, and so I feel like when I'm juggling, I feel like I'm kind of like in a box, or I'm kind of like constrained. Like I feel like if I was outside, I feel like I would be able to perform better maybe. So that's just has to do with my environment. And then the third constraint is just a task constraint. So it's more related to the equipment. I'm using these tennis balls. I've used them the whole time, but they're kind of like light and they're kind of small. And I feel like if I had like maybe some bigger balls that were a little more heavier or had like better, I guess, weight to them, I feel like it would be easier for me to juggle. Just that would be my personal preference. But yeah. And then I would teach the skill to someone else. Probably not how I learned it, actually, because I didn't really break it down at all. Like in terms of steps, like when I first started, I just picked up 3 balls and just started juggling, and I did it until I figured it out. But I wouldn't really recommend that to other people because I feel like it is kind of harder to learn that way. I feel like if you break it down more like step by step, I feel like that would be a lot easier than just to try to do it all at once from the very beginning. But I think it is possible to do it that way because, I mean, obviously I did it, but I would say that if I was to teach someone else, I would try to break it down more than how I learned it. Maybe just by like starting out with 2 balls instead of 3, because I did try to do 4 balls and I could get it kind of, but then I kind of got frustrated and I switched back to 3 because I was like, well, I might as well just do 3 and try to get to 30 seconds juggling time, which I did accomplish that. And I feel like I can go longer, but I've never really timed it while I was practicing. So, but yeah. And then expectation for future skill development, I would probably say that I'm at the stage in my like learning where if you told me to start juggling probably like a year from now, I could probably do it a little bit, but I wouldn't say that I'm gonna keep practicing juggling every day after this project because I feel like it's not really a skill that is useful. Not to say it like that, but I feel like it's not really a skill that you would use very often like in everyday life. So I mean, it's kind of like a cool little trick to do, but besides that, I don't see myself really using the skill of juggling very much in my life. But I think that I've learned it to the point where if I did need to do it, like in a couple months, or I feel like I could still do it. Maybe not as well as I can right now because I would be taking time off. But I feel like if I had to do it, I feel like I could do it, just not probably as well as I can do it right now. So yeah, that's all. Bye.